HELL. Oh no. Oh, here you go again. No to bathhouses in New York City. Let me explain. Warrior, I'm old enough to remember the bathhouses of the 1970s and 1980s being a New Yorker. That was a whole different time period. And what put an end to the bathhouses, I want to say around 85, 86, was the AIDS epidemic, the AIDS crisis. We forget about that. And I remember a friend of mine, a gay friend of mine, telling me around 1980, there is going to be a gay cancer. It is already decimating our community underground. Nobody wants to talk about it. You're going to see. And I said, that's crazy. What are you talking about? A gay cancer? I just couldn't even comprehend it. Now, fast forward a little bit, not too much after this. It had been about 1979, he told me this. We then witnessed the AIDS epidemic, a time where our own president didn't even want to acknowledge or talk about it. Our mayor of New York City did not want to even mention it or talk about it, where nurses and doctors and communities did not importance. HELL, where she then went into hospital wards and places where these victims were to speak with them, touch them, hug them, hold a hand, right? Babies with AIDS. I remember all of that. Why would we want to bring back? There's a piece of legislation coming up in New York City to have bathhouses again, because the two, and I'm not going to name them or anything like that, do your homework because they're not worth naming, where they say this is part of the gay culture, where they can just go and have this connecting, this hooking up, this anonymous sex. Who wants that? And we're also hearing that narrative again about we need this for our transgender community. False, false, false. What we should be talking about with our transgender community is helping them get better education, get better job opportunities, working with companies to employ them. Not saying you are good enough to work in a bathhouse or just go to a bathhouse. Listen to my interview I did a couple of days ago with survivor Terry Forliti out of Minneapolis. She is a strong human trafficking survivor advocate, helps with policy. They have removed the ban on their bathhouses in Minneapolis and sex venues, and she explains perfectly well what's going on here. Now, when this just came out 2 days ago, and I did get wind something would happen because I heard right before that COVID period that New York City was going to be, coined the sex tourism capital of the country. That's what some of those people, I'll say, wanted from New York City. They wanted, the bathhouses, the sex venues, the legalization of prostitution, all of this exploitation. You know, and I know. You don't have to be a brain surgeon here. Like, this is not good for anybody. Bathhouses, supply and demand. And I have plenty of gay friends coming from the entertainment background, being a New Yorker, and none of them like this. None of them want this. Those that can remember back, that are my age, to these bathhouses, no, they were just, places of sexual diseases and AIDS. And actually, that's what closed them down officially, was the AIDS crisis in New York City. So why do we want to open them up again, saying this is a place, part of gay culture where men were dying, in particular, the AIDS crisis? I don't want to go back there. All of my gay male friends don't want to go back there. We don't need bathhouses, okay? It's not making it safer for people. This is, again, an example of, stupidity, but supply and demand. More people will be exploited. We know these bathhouses, sex venues, are just places where there's a pimp, there's a trafficker, and there'll be more exploitation because there's more money to be made. So wake up, America, because if it's happening in Minneapolis, and it could be happening in New York City sometime soon, it's coming to your neighborhood soon. So we say no to these bathhouses, the most ridiculous thing. We want a healthy, happy society. What is this? Really? We got to fight back. We don't want our children witnessing all of this horror. And how dare anybody say, having been a New Yorker, having seen what the AIDS crisis, how it decimated the entertainment community in particular, okay? The music business, all of entertainment, the Broadway community. We lost so many valuable artists and just regular people. We're not going to go back there because you won't know and I know. Yeah, somebody said to me recently, well, AIDS is under control. Well, that may be, but who knows what's on the horizon. So join me, lynswarriors.org. You know our hashtag is Community Creates Change. Listen, share these videos, talk about these subjects, get it out in the open. We don't want our kids witnessing this horror, right? So who would ever think this is a good idea? A free-for-all. Join me. And when you wake up each and every day, go out and be a warrior.